This question from 5 days ago. He says, I have subscribed to Accesswire for doing press release distribution for a client. Question one, does press release distribution correlate with rankings in any way? And then question two is, if yes, are there any best practices you tested? Yes, and yes, it does, because here's the thing. And we've got a relationship with Jeremy, one of the co-owners of Press Advantage, which, by the way, very soon, in the next couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, something like that, we're going to be doing another webinar with him and opening it up a special again for people that want to have their own subscription accounts to Press Advantage, which is the same distribution service that we have available in MGYB. For anybody that's doing a lot of volume, I always suggest having your own Press Advantage subscription. There are other providers out there, Accesswire being one of them. There's many of them now, actually. And there is a big difference between the distribution networks. Like there are certainly common distribution sites that get used by almost all distribution services, or by a vast majority of them. But there are also, depending on the relationships that are forged between the distribution company and the distribution partners or outlets, right? Where they so that's usually something that it's a relationship that has to be built. And that's why, it really does make a difference to have a good distribution service, one that has, selects good sites with good traffic, good metrics, that kind of stuff, nothing real spammy. Here's the problem. I don't know necessarily about Accesswire. I have tested them in the past, but it's been at least 2 years, and I've only done like a couple of one-off press releases with them because and I was always testing against Press Advantage. There are some really good ones out there, Press Advantage being one of them. Another one is Quantum Newswire, which he's one of our mastermind members actually developed that. It's a really good service as well. But what you have to be careful about, and again, I'm not speaking directly about Accesswire because I don't know, haven't tracked it in a few years, a couple of years at least, is that some distribution services will pad their numbers or inflate their numbers with like WordPress sites and such that they call distribution sites, but really they're just republishing the press releases, what press releases are too. But part of the benefit of press releases is that they get published on high trafficked sites that are like media sites, right? News sites. So just creating a WordPress site to republish press releases to isn't necessarily a good thing. In fact, it could even be toxic if those sites are really spammed sites. A lot of the media distribution sites that are distributed to, that are part of an actual, media network, they are typically high trafficked, high authority sites. So they typically not considered as spammy or toxic. Whereas a lot of the networks or distribution networks that I've tested a lot of them, guys, and the reason why I've stuck with Press Advantage is because they've had a really good selection of sites, is my point. And that's growing. Like Jeremy's been working on developing relationships with, so Press Advantage has been dealing with developing relationships for years now with companies. In fact, I don't know what I can reveal here, but some new ones are coming, and that's part of the reason why, or are already available. But anyways, that's part of the reason why we're going to have another webinar with him in the coming weeks. But that said, yes, it does. There is a correlation with rankings, because again, if you're not careful and you distribute press releases to spammy sites, they can actually end up being toxic. So there's a couple things that you can do if that's the case. Use the press releases to link back to your tier 1 entity assets as opposed to your money site directly. I saw there was another question from one of our members, Nathan Smith, I believe, further down, about using press releases to the link directly to your money site. I do, because of Press Advantage being a good distribution service. But again, if you're not sure, or you haven't tested and you don't know what the distribution looks like yet, then I would recommend linking back to tier 1 entity assets instead of directly to your money site. So what are those, right? GMB, map, GMB website. If you're using, if it's for local, you could link to the SEO Shield properties, which is what we recommend. So Google site, Google Drive stack, the files and/or folders, an ID page. You could link to your major social media, your syndication network properties. There's a number of things that any tier 1 entity asset, really. And so that's what I would recommend, just to be on the careful side. If you've got a subscription to Accesswire, publish a couple press releases linking back to tier 1 entity assets first. then look at the distribution reports and go through it with a fine-tooth comb and see if there's anything in there that's, particularly spammy. If so, then I would recommend, looking for another service or just using it the way that I just mentioned. Okay. Anybody want to comment on that?
No, I mean, the answer to the question is yes, they are correlational. We do find that doing regular press releases helps with rankings. Now, whether it's because of the links, because of the distribution, just whatever it is. Now, I will say that whenever I run a press release, it does get hit with link building. I don't just do a press release and then nothing behind it. So whether it's the link building to the press release or the press release itself, like we don't know unless you run like a separate test, just press releases. I know you've done that, and press releases and link building. That's not something that I'm going to get into in here for free. At any rate, when you do them correctly, when you stack them like it's taught in PR, what is it, PR Pro, press release?
Local PR Pro.
Local PR Pro. It's fantastic. It's fantastic for pushing the map into the 3-pack, pushing those posts, boosting the posts, and then pushing from the post over to the website through the, now I'm giving away to it, through the do follow link that you can get. Doing it all that way, but you're still pushing relevance and power over to the website, but you're putting a buffer in between, a buffer that will help your map rank anyway. And then when you stack those and you build links to those as you're stacking them, right around the 3rd, 4th, or 5th press release in the stack, you see things just kind of take off. Right? But if you do just one, it may or may not help, depending on the competition in that niche. But when you stack them and you do the link building, you run those embed gigs and link building, it works really, really well. It's probably a combination, right? Because we do talk to Jeremy on a regular basis. We ask for a lot of stuff that he does for us, right? Like the media page has developed over time because he actually asks us what we would like, and we tell him, and he does whatever he can within reason, right? We can't get everything that we want. I'd love to, but we can't. So